Hybrids aren't exactly in high demand right now, but that isn't stopping automakers from pushing them on consumers. With the new Niro, Kia is trying something a little bit different for their first ever dedicated hybrid. Make it look like a crossover, and provide basically as little indication as possible that it is, in fact, a hybrid. But will this incognito initiative actually work to sell this vehicle, or does it have some growing to do in either one direction or the other? To find out, I took the 2017 Kia Niro for a week-long test drive. As far as the design of conventional hybrids go, on the scale of the relatively anonymous Ford Fusion hybrid to the face of the Toyota Prius only a mother could love, the Kia Niro is relatively inoffensive, but that's not to say it's handsome either. The wide-set headlights, awkward, not quite SUV proportions, and stubby, squared-off rear end make the whole design seem a little bit unfinished. In this deep cerulean paint and riding on handsome 18-inch wheels though, this touring trim model looks better than some more humbly equipped versions. Other than the funky interior of the Soul, Kia's designers have become masters of functionality in recent years, and that rings through in the Niro's interior as well. Other than some blue trim around the vents and blue piping on the seats, and this eco-hybrid badge up on the dashboard, there's not much kitsch in here like you'd find in other conventional hybrids, and that's a good thing. Finished in a light gray leather and soft touch plastic treatment, build quality is as good as we've come to expect from the Koreans recently. And the layout of climate controls, media knobs and buttons, and the large 8-inch touchscreen is a familiar and user-friendly one. I especially like the no-fuss gauge cluster with all the pertinent information you would need without screaming eco-friendliness. Like most modern Kias, the Niro comes pretty well equipped with standard features and technology. Though to get the most bang for your buck, you're going to want to step up a trim level or two from the base FE. Keyless entry, Bluetooth connectivity, touchscreen infotainment, a backup camera, and smartphone projection technology with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto all come standard on the second-tier LX trim. But curiously, active safety features like blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert are unavailable unless you select the EX trim. Other safety features like automatic emergency braking, forward collision warning, lane departure warning, and adaptive cruise control are optional across the range. With automakers like Toyota now offering these features as standard, and the Niro serving as Kia's tech-savvy affordable hybrid offering, it's a bit of an oversight to make customers shell out for now commonplace safety tech. If you choose to forego efficiency and your hard-earned cash to get all the bangs and whistles, the touring model certainly provides. With an 8-speaker Harman Kardon audio system, an available wireless phone charging pad, USB ports in the front and rear, a bigger 8-inch touchscreen, power adjustable driver's seat, heated and ventilated front roads, leather upholstery, parking sensors, and a heated steering wheel, there's not many things this Kia can't do in terms of tech and comfort features. The Niro's higher roofline and hatchback design make for a pretty spacious interior. There's lots of legroom up front, and for adults in the rear, you should find yourself pretty comfortable, with 37.4 inches of legroom. That actually rings in more than the Toyota Prius V, and at about an inch wider overall, there should be a little bit more space if you choose to have a fifth passenger back here. The front driver's seat is power adjustable and includes lumbar support on upper trims, and while the rear seats don't recline, the natural backrest position is plenty comfortable. With the rear seats in position, the Niro packs a middling 19.4 cubic feet of cargo space thanks to a higher load floor from the batteries underneath. But fold the rear seats down flat and total capacity increases to 54.5 cubic feet, which is tops among small hybrids and near the top among compact crossovers. Of course, as normal as the Niro seems on the outside, it's still a hybrid powertrain, which means it's got to mate a miserly 4-cylinder with an electric engine for maximum fuel efficiency. At least in theory, but I'll get to that later. Kia's solution to the hybrid question is to utilize a naturally aspirated version of their 1.6-liter 4-cylinder engine, which only makes about a little over 100 horsepower on its own, to a 240-volt AC motor that makes about 43 horsepower and 125 pound-feet of torque. The result, after all the complicated math is factored in, is a total system output of 139 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. While that's plenty of torque for such a small vehicle, you really start to feel the lack of outright horsepower at speed when attempting to make passing maneuvers or accelerating onto an on-ramp. Pop the shifter over to the left for sport mode and you'll fare better, but the normal eco mode is about as sluggish as can be. Interestingly, Kia decided to use a dual-clutch automatic transmission for the Niro instead of a traditional CVT like most hybrids use. Unfortunately, it's a little bit clunky in daily driving, especially under hard acceleration or when you pop it over into manual mode and decide to instigate a downshift. I think a CVT would be better suited, but frankly, Hyundai and Kia only had a dual-clutch automatic in their parts bin as their most efficient automatic transmission. In terms of handling and steering, it's not going to ignite anybody's inner race car driver, but the Niro can hold its own pretty well. Thanks to skinnier tires, there's a little bit of understeer in the corners, but for the most part, the chassis is good, and the ride quality is good enough that this car is better suited to be a highway cruiser than a backroad bruiser. It's important also that I state that the Niro is not a crossover, despite what it may look like. It only comes available in front-wheel drive, and therefore, I certainly don't consider it a crossover, and I don't think you should either. But if you can get away with front-wheel drive in an area of the country that has less inclement weather, you should be just fine. In terms of fuel economy, the Niro is in line with most traditional hybrids, though be aware that if you opt for the top-tier touring trim like this model, fuel efficiency can drop significantly thanks to the bigger wheels and more features, making this car a little bit heavier. The average for the base FE trim is about 52 miles per gallon according to the EPA, but that drops to 46 miles per gallon if you decide to get the touring trim. I actually saw closer to 42 miles per gallon over the course of my week with the Niro. Starting at $22,890 for the ultra-efficient FE trim, the Niro starts to make a lot of sense at the lower end of the market. You get practicality, efficiency, and pretty much none of the stigma that comes with most traditional hybrids. Topping out at $32,445 though for this Touring Edition model with the $1,900 technology package, which includes the safety features you'll actually want, a lot of other options start to make sense, especially ones that are bigger and more practical, like the Toyota RAV4 hybrid. Still, for Kia's first attempt at a dedicated hybrid, the Niro is a pretty strong effort. But time will tell if the whole hybrid that's trying pretty hard not to seem like a hybrid thing will actually get these things off dealer lots. If you're in the market for a small hybrid and you'd like the space and practicality of a crossover though, the Niro should be on your short list. Well, that's all for now. I'm Brian with the Daily News Autos, and we'll see you next time.